welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Don't forget, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I'm going to have a new interview, new opinion piece, or some horror news for you to come and check out. And right now, I'm in the midst of my coverage of the 30th anniversary of Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, my absolute favorite film. So make sure to head back to my channel so you can see my coverage of that coming up, along with a review, finally, for the movie I'm going to be dropping on January 13th as well. So what are we talking about here tonight, folks? Well, we are here with the final episode, the final tape, the final installment right now of the Creep tapes. Y'all, we have been following this series for a few months now, and we are finally here into our last episode. Could be a series finale, but I am very much hoping, due to the response to this and the joy that Mark Duplass and Patrick Brice have clearly had from getting back into this world, I'm hoping this isn't it and we got another season, or at the very least another movie coming our way too. But tonight, again, is the final tape here in the first season. We are talking Mom and Albert. So over the course of this show, we've seen various different sides and various different characters brought to us by Peach Fuzz and all of his different victims. Now, in the previous episode, Brant, this was an episode that really only featured Peach Fuzz with himself. And yeah, like at the very end, the victim does show up, but it was probably the most personal look that we got at this character throughout this season. Whether it was just a performance or not, it gave us a little bit of insight into what this guy is thinking and the possibility that his murderous side might be maybe not a distinct other personality, but at the very least, in comparison to something like Dexter Morgan, it's this dark passenger that he's able to conversate with, the devil on his shoulder, and somebody that he finds himself in competition with all the time for just living his very own life. Because as we saw in that previous episode, there's this fight over who actually gets to carry out the murder and feeling like they're the one that's empowered by these events. Going into Mom and Albert, though, we start getting even more of a personal look. It's like this was the great follow-up. This was the right idea of where to go with the series after getting something as personal as the Brant tape. And so whether or not the character presented in this is Peach Fuzz's actual mom, that's open to interpretation, because considering how erratic and how psychotic and that Peach Fuzz himself is, it's not crazy to think that maybe he's met an individual or two over the years that might be just as warped as he is, and there ends up developing some kind of bond. It very well could be his mother. But the one thing that we have to kind of think back on is that in that original film, there was a part to where Aaron, played by Patrick Brice, the guy who would come to film him or to shoot him, that he had a conversation with Peach Fuzz's sister, played by Kate Aselton, who starred in The League with Mark Duplass. And considering what we've seen across the two movies and the TV shows, and especially in this episode of Mom and Albert, there does stand a question of, was this person that Aaron talked to in the first film actually Peach Fuzz's sister? Because if so, it seems like she's very aware of his psychotic tendencies, and maybe even more so that if the woman presented in this episode is his actual or their actual mom, that this is something that runs very, very rampant in the family, this psychosis. And if it runs in Mom and the Peach Fuzz here, then it stands a good question or a good reasoning that the sister might have it as well too. So just in the back of my mind, this makes me even more excited for another season or possibly another film, because honestly, I'd want Kate Aselton to show up to see whether or not this is something that's running in the family and this woman really is who she was saying she was on the phone call. But that's getting away from the actual episode itself. Now, again, Peach Fuzz's mom, played by Krisha Fairchild in this episode, very clearly has the same kind of weird tendencies that he has as well too. You know, Peach Fuzz is very much thrown off guard when it turns out his mom has a date or has a friend over that clearly they're in some kind of relationship, and you can see whether it's a bit of jealousy, whether it's a bit of, we know what our family's involved with, why is this person here? Who knows what it is, but Peach Fuzz is immediately thrown off by the appearance of this person, Albert, who's involved with his mom. And what makes most of this even creepier is the fact that they're very clearly not in their own house. Peach Fuzz makes numerous references throughout this episode that there's stuff that's been put in there from their old house that he remembers, but that this very clearly is not their own home. Terrifying thought, because it seems that in that case then, that his mom has very much lured in Albert, maybe for her own murderous desires, her own intentions that she has planned out here. But they've taken somebody else's home, which who knows whether they're dead or not, to really recreate their own childhood. And it makes all this so much scarier for the situation that Albert does not realize that he's in. Because with all these other victims, you know, they're lured very specifically for Peach Fuzz's own games. But in this one here, the fact that Albert was here not because of Peach Fuzz, but because of his mom, makes you worry and have to consider, what the hell was she planning for Albert here? That something even more nefarious had to be at bay. And she was clearly upset and distraught over the fact that that Peach Fuzz ends up killing Albert. Is it because that she wanted to be able to do that herself? We just don't know. So a lot of very, very scary but tantalizing ties here in this episode to kind of pull on a bit. Now, outside of that, we don't get any direct answers, and that is a shame, because narratively, of course, it wouldn't make sense for us to get some big revelations here in this episode to kind of put a neat bow on what we've seen. It had to, again, just be something random that only gives us a little bit, like I said, into the backstory of this character and what family life could have been like at all. But I will say that the idea of there possibly being this murderous family, that the only comparison that a lot of us are really going to have for that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that would be amazing to see a new family unit sprout up that has these same kind of murderous desires and their own way of approaching things. And again, it brings me back to really want to see Kate Aselton show up in another episode or another movie here to see exactly what the case is with the sister. Because if it turns out that maybe she is the she's the monster, you know, the normal looking monster of the family, I would be so intrigued to see that. I'd be intrigued to see if she is actually murderous as well too. There's just so much meat left on this bone here. Overall, I think this show really did accomplish much more than what a Creep 3 would have brought us, because I do feel that they might not have necessarily been looking to address a lot of like the motive here for Peach Fuzz. And so I feel that a lot of people might have been disappointed with a third movie coming out before this TV show, because we do want to see more of this character, but we have to give us more that makes us interested in finding out a lot more of those answers. And I do feel that the first season of this show accomplished a lot in getting us very interested in the character of Peach Fuzz and really wanting to know what's fact from fiction. And again, if they decide to explore another season of this show, if they decide to go with a movie, there's enough questions now set up to where whether they just go another route of showing us another set of tapes, or they're actually diving into some good character exposition here for Peach Fuzz, that we're going to be in really good hands. I feel this show has been a good success. Mark Duplass is excellent in this role here, and the writing has been superb. Kudos to all those involved. Very much hoping we do get another season, but at the very least, give us that Creep 3. So let me know in the comment section here of what you thought of the Creep tapes, y'all. I don't know when we'll be back to talk about this again, as I've reviewed everything Creep related at this point, but I want to hear your thoughts on the franchise so far and where you think it might go here in the comment section, y'all. Don't forget to get subscribed, just as I got more great stuff coming your way. We are still diving into more of Dexter Original Sin, into season 2 of Mayfair Witches, jumping back into Penny Dreadful now that things are slowing down a little bit. We got reviews for the Wolfman and Companion coming up as well, along with the Advent calendar. We have a lot of fun stuff coming your way, y'all. Don't want you to miss any of that, but the best way to stay on top of it is to get subscribed to my link tree. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/tscarymovie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content, including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page for my horror gaming, including The Thing Remastered and Phasmophobia, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, folks. Hit that subscribe button. Just as more followers I get, more content I can put out for all of you. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new episode. I'll catch y'all real soon. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.